Let's light this thing.
All right, awesome. Hey, first podcast. I'm honored if it's your first one. You've been highly requested, Chuck. I don't know if you know this. I've had multiple people say to get you on.
In your company or mine? Because my company does the same thing. They love to embarrass me as often as possible.
I've had actually literally someone within our company, someone within your company, and then two other inspectors just say, hey, I think Chuck would make for a good guest.
Really? Okay.
So start off with some flattery.
Yeah. I'll try not to disappoint. I'll try to keep my my colorful metaphors down to a minimum. You know, we are from New England. They talk a little rough out here.
Oh, I love it. Big fan of that. How has business been? You mentioned COVID. Obviously, we're not too far removed from COVID, so I still like to ask about how you navigated COVID. If you want to jump right in and tell us how that all went down for you, I'd be curious.
Yeah, and in general, business is pretty steady. When the COVID came out, everyone was wondering what was going to happen. You know, I just started to really grow my team. My growth has been in the past maybe 2.5 years. Probably 3 when I finally found Spectora, and then you know, COVID came out, and I said, well, what are we going to do? Do we want to sit in the house and hope everything clears up, or do we want to see what we can do? You know, maybe just follow the, you know, the recommendations, the masks, the gloves, all the other stuff. So what we ended up doing was we never shut down once. And what happened was a lot of the people around us, you know, the inspectors are a little bit older. I turned 58 this year, but most of these guys are 60, 70 years old. They have health concerns. So what we did was we just followed the recommendations from the, you know, the medical community, and that was our biggest year ever last year, with basically 2.5 inspectors. So we had a really good year. It was really, really a surprise, a huge surprise.
Yeah. And many people came out of April just screaming, you know, more business than they've ever had, rushing to hire. How many years have you been in the business?
This week is 10 years.
10 years. All right.
It's actually an anniversary, so it's kind of fun being on my first podcast and lasting 10 years. That's a big deal to me.
Huge deal. You look at what 10 years has spanned in our industry. Obviously, it's been a great market run, so there's been some great years in there, but you've experienced all your growth mostly in the last couple of years, yeah?
2018, end of 2018, because this is my 3rd year with Spectora.
So why just the last couple of years for one, and then what was your kind of first 6-7 years in the business like? Was it purposeful, not growing and just kind of cruising?
It was not. Well, all along, when I first started doing this 10 years ago, I said, well, you know, let me do something new. The kids were older, they got out of school. I said, it's time. You know, my company was bought out when I was working for, and somebody was here and I was here, and I got bumped down. I said, well, I'm not waiting 25 years to go again to get where I was. So I said, oh, you know, let's try home inspection. So I did all the training, did all the other stuff. And then I asked the guy I was training with, I said, can I work with you now? And he said, no. I said, what? A full year. I have no marketing experience, no computer software experience as far as Spectora and all the other stuff. So it was do or die. So I went out there and I just started to hustle and started to meet some people. But the one good thing the guy did for me was he was busy all the time, and he left my name and number on his voicemail. So some of his clients would call me. So that kept me kind of busy. I think the first year I might have done $20,000, which is way less than I was making at the other job.
Right.
So I started out with the same software that they use. We won't use any name, but it was kind of a dinosaur. You know, as an inspector, everything was on my computer. If that computer died, I died. It was big deal. We died. So, you know, I worked for 2 or 3 years by myself and thinking, this is great. Oh, I'm getting a little busy. My neighbor next door, he was driving a 12-wheel dump truck. So I convinced him after a full year. I said, please come with me, just see what it's like to be a home inspector. He was kicking himself afterwards. He said, I should have came back and said yes when you asked me. That first year, he feels he wasted. But he's been my longest inspector now for the last 5 years, and maybe 6 years. And he's the workhorse. He does very well. He's built up his clientele, and he's really busy. So it was he and I for a while. I said I would come home every night. All my calls were in voicemail. I go to do voicemail, and they had already hired people. I said, this is not working.
Ah,
First one to pick up the phone wins. So I asked my daughter, I said, what are you doing? She was married with a baby. I said, what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm going to put him in daycare and this and that. And I said, why don't you work with me? So she says, what do I have to do? I said, just answer the phone. First one to pick up the phone wins. So now Jess is my office manager.
wait, was it that easy? Just, hey, you want to come work for me? And she said, sure. What do I do?
It was that easy.
Awesome. So you guys have a good relationship then.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
very good. She does a great job in the office. She does the payroll. She takes care of all the phone calls. You know, she interacts with Spectora a lot. You'll hear and see from her a lot. So for a while, it was just us. And then one day I was working till 11 o'clock at night, writing my 2 reports a day. I said, this is just crazy. What's going on here? I'm almost to the point where I don't want to do it anymore. So I went online. I started Google searching home inspection software. 10 or 12 people come up, including you guys. And I didn't make a decision. So I go into Facebook, and of course, who shows up on the right-hand side? Because Facebook knows everything, right? Spectora. So I said, all right, I'm going to click on it. So I click on Spectora, and I downloaded the software, and I tried it. I said, this is pretty nice. I like this. Practice with it. We have the 5 inspections. And my guy next door, his computer died in November. So we were down a computer, and I said, we're not going back. I said, I got the template done at Spectora. I said, we're not going back. So I said, do or die, let's go. Press the button, and we went out, and he did okay. He did really well. We reviewed the reports, did okay. And then from there, I started thinking, I said, wow, this is all cloud-based. I could have a guy 30 miles away from me. I could have another guy 50 miles away from me. We can start taking over some spots. And that was my growth process. I started to think of, maybe we could grow a little bit. Maybe we could do better. And, the next thing happened was one of my favorite realtors. She said, oh, my husband would make a great home inspector. You probably hear this a lot. All the realtor wives think their husband's going to be great. So I said, all right, I'll meet him. It's great. This will be fun. So I met him, and he was a 16-year HVAC guy, and his arm was in a sling because he had his shoulder rebuilt and all this other issues with his health. So I took him for a year, trained him. And he started when COVID started, and that was my 2.5 inspector story. And from then on, by the end of this year, I should have 8 guys in the field.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fast, quick growth, and a lot of it, I give a lot of credit to Spectora because it's enabled me to do a lot of the things I couldn't do with the other software I had.
Yeah, for growing teams, team inspections, having people in different places and being able to collaborate. What led to kind of the business? Like, obviously the market has lifted kind of all boats, but I think there's always something special each company kind of has or does. What's kind of your calling card, or why has your name just spread, or what has been the reason more agents have just found you?
I think what they like is that we try to educate during the inspection. I bring a lot of the home inspectors that I bring. It's not necessary that you have a background in construction, but the ones that I've been getting are, like, I have an HVAC I told you about, Andy. I have 2 electricians that are working with me. I have 3 construction supervisors. I have, a combination of things. I have military people that are current military, inactive in the National Guard. I have construction supervisors. I may have said that already, but they like the quality of the people I bring.
Yeah.
And the biggest part that I look for in somebody I bring to them is their personality. How are they with the client? You can teach anyone to look at a hot water tank. You can't teach them to be a nice guy. That's my whole thing. If you have a bad attitude and the customer and the agent feels that, you're all done. You're not going to make it.
That might be the name of this episode. I like that. You can teach anyone to look at a water heater and see the age and the brand, but you can't teach someone to be a nice guy. And that just changes the whole interview process for some people. I think most people just stop at the construction experience. Perfect. Let's go. As opposed to, how do they interact with actual humans? And how do they make humans feel when they're buying a house?
Well, what else is helping? What's also helping is again the Spectora software. I'm not here to pump up Spectora. That does it by itself. All you have to do is try it. And I keep trying to get my guys to do that. But nobody in our area, I know of maybe 3 or 4 people that are using Spectora, and we're up here as far as reports. And the other guys are still writing a 3-page thing where they take off the white and they give it to the
No, they're still doing the rip
they're
it
still
off.
doing those.
No.
And the yellow goes to this person and the pink goes in their
Ugh.
records. And I'm like, oh my God, no pictures, no video, no narrative. So that's one of my other things that has really been important, is knowing who the customers are. The people in their 30s and 40s that are electronic, they don't even want to talk to you before the inspection. They want to do everything online. It's unbelievable. They're only a generation behind me. It's just like, wow.
It feels like 2 or 3 though, because I look at early 20 somethings, anyone in their 20s now, and they feel like completely foreign to me, the things they're into and the things they're looking at.
Oh yeah.
The social media platforms they're on, I feel behind. And so it's funny. It cascades down in that way, but
it sure does.
But kudos to you on the growth. That's exciting. What's been the hardest part about it over these last 2 years?
I think the hardest part is in Massachusetts, we're required to work with somebody for a full year. You go 25. First, you get 75 hours of class time. Then you go 25 inspections with a ride along, but then you have to do another 100 and work with somebody for a full year.
Wow.
And how do you pay your bills while you're working as basically an apprentice? So what we've been finding has helped. Again, it's just a lucky thing. Some people are unemployed and they've been collecting unemployment. They don't want to collect unemployment, but they're working with me. Some people already have jobs, like my firefighters. I literally have 3 firefighters. They have a regular job and they train with me when they're off duty. So they have crazy shifts. They can fill in Sundays and Saturdays, and they know how to work. They have a purpose, and they really work hard. I have great guys. That's a big deal.
Love military, love firefighters. I think the characteristics they bring, just in general, to life, but to the business, I think are always great predictors. The discipline too. Like, I grew up in a military family, so I'm obviously a big fan of what the military does for people. So they don't get paid when they're just in that apprenticeship, no?
It's the strangest thing up here is some people want to charge you to learn. They want to charge you $100 per inspection, and I just say, you're going to be $12,500 in debt before you even get started. I don't charge anybody.
Okay.
Actually, I'll pay them to go and help my guys.
Yeah.
I'll pay them something per day.
You're allowed to pay them. You are.
You can pay them. Yeah, absolutely pay them. But most people, if you're a single man shop, you don't have that revenue to do it.
Right.
I was lucky this year. I just started to be able to do that with some guys, and it's worked out really well. Because now they're not out working a part-time job when they could be training with me.
Right.
So I give them a little bit of money. They get to work, they get to train, they get in the field faster.
So your hiring and your building of kind of your, the culture at your company is more around getting the right people in the door that do things in a certain way, as opposed to you having to like train how to speak to people or educate. Right.
Yeah. Well, my thought is that a lot of people say don't hire family. Everybody in my company has some tie to another person, so it's a referral thing. The last company I came from, where I used to sell electrical supplies, I was there for 25 years. Everybody was a referral from inside. We had very few people from the outside. Yeah. So, if I have to fire my bookkeeper, that's my sister-in-law in Florida. If I have to fire my office manager, that's my daughter. If I have to fire my radon tech, that's my wife. So it's going to be a tough Christmas if you start firing all these people. The holidays are going to be rough.
I think we both go against the grain because, me and my brother, obviously, family, we've worked together for 5+ years, and then we've hired some very good friends. We have very good friends working for us and with us, and I'm a fan of it. I think it works for us. I don't, everyone just wants to tell you one direction to go or not, but it allows you to be more candid. I think that can help.
They also have some skin in the game where they want you to succeed. They feel like part of the company. They don't feel like just an employee. I always tell my guys, you work with me, not for me. That's the way it is. I want to know about their families. I want to know, how they're doing. I call them up all the times. Hey, nice new boat. you're going to spend a little time working this week. they, they have all the fun stuff, but they're all good guys. So I want it to be more of a, it's still a company. It still has structure. It still has all the famous, tiers of operation, but I want them to feel like they're part of the company, not just, not that they can be replaced.
We actually changed how we refer to it internally because we initially talked about it as a family. And then we were like, well, you can't get rid of family. So we called it a team. So we were like, we're a team going for a championship because you can trade players. You can get rid of players on a team, but you're still tight. You're still tight knit and you're still, moving towards something. So your growth, I think, what led to our conversation about IEB, or like what even piqued your interest in it? Because I think you saw something I posted, right?
I saw, I think IEB showed up again in Facebook, and I looked into IEB a little bit more, and I think you and Michael had done an interview or something like that. So I reached out, and I always reach out to you guys because I feel like I'm part of your team as well. So I reached out to the ladies or whoever's in customer service, or you and Michael, and I said, "What's the deal with IEB? Give me some feedback." And you came back, you said they're the real deal. They're in it, in it to win it. So they had a rapid growth training thing. I said, it's November or whatever time of the year it was. I said, $250 for 2 days. I'll sit here for 10 hours each day in my little chair, in my little office. And I was really impressed. To be honest, I've only been with them probably about 6 months, and I had no corporate structure. They said, "What's your org chart look like?" I said, "Me and everybody else." Like, oh God, they're all coming to me with stuff. I said, "This is not working." So we did the org chart. Me, my daughter. I had a blank in services. I had a blank person in growth, and I reached out to certain people, and I got those positions filled. So that's how that worked. I actually have a real estate agent as my growth person.
No kidding.
That growth position is exactly what a realtor does. They make the phone calls, they do all the other stuff. That's what they do for a living, and they're comfortable with it. So I said, I have very good realtor friends after 10 years. Some of them are almost family. So I reached out to her. I said, "Hey, what are your thoughts about this?" She said, "I would love to help you." I said, "Okay, good."
Wow.
Simple as that. Just find a good realtor that likes you, and everything has been so easy.
that might be the gem right there. Is I've never thought about, and their job lends itself to it, right? Being that they have flexibility.
Not always busy.
Yeah.
So I said, what's your schedule look like? She says, "Well, I work on, as you know, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. Write offers on Monday and Tuesday." I said, "Part-time, make a few phone calls, reach out to some of the local people. I want to make sure that when you call them, that you tell them that we're here to bring you value, not just pencils and tape measures and candy, the business cards. I want to work with my real estate partners, my agent partners."
So do you compensate hourly or per agent?
I asked her that. I said, "What do you want to do?" She goes, "I just put her on salary, 40 hours a week." She said minimum wage. I said, "That's cheap money. That's low money. Actually 20 hours a week part-time.
Yeah.
It's even less. So, what, $300 a week to make phone calls and just spread the word?"
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an
All I need
ROI. Yeah. You don't even have to
one
track
inspection.
it.
One contact from an office could pay for her for the year.
And I imagine she can use the whole, "Hey, I'm an agent. I get it. I know what it's like." That just seems like a layup, right?
Yeah. And she uses us as, she previously used us as the inspection company. So she's completely familiar with the software. She's familiar with the people that work for us. So it's been a really, really good relationship so far.
So now that you have been exposed to IEB, everyone's vision usually grows tenfold. What are you thinking in terms of the future?
My future. Before IEB, I thought 5 was the magic number. 5 inspectors and off we go, and I can just do whatever.
Yeah.
My vision now is to not inspect at all and just run the company. Because 58 the knees hurt, the back hurts, the attics are getting smaller, the crawl spaces are getting smaller. I'm looking at probably 20, 25 inspectors alone, and then having other people in the office. It depends on, yeah, you got something flying up there.
Yeah, I
It's a
know. I got a
big,
fly. I got a fly bugging me right now.
it looks like a pterodactyl. Um, it's a monster. Depends on what the market is. So with our growth this year, even some of my inspectors have asked the question, do you think we're growing too fast? So we're growing as fast as the market will allow. So one thing I had to do this year was get I had my growth person, but I also got a social media person. And her job is strictly to post daily. And she posts daily for us. We send her materials, take pictures, so we'll take short spectora videos. We'll do all kinds of stuff like that and try to keep our face out there. But we're going to try to do every twice a month, hopefully have something with some value. This is how you maintain your heating system. This is how you do this, how you do that. Short videos, because those other things are just fluff. They just remind you that we're out there.
Yeah.
We need to bring value. It's all about value.
How did you find the social media person? Was that another kind of referral?
That was my growth person. She knew him, another referral, so direct, you can do like the 7 things to Kevin Bacon, whatever that is.
Yeah. 7 degrees, 6 degrees, whatever.
7 degrees of Kevin. Everybody's directly related. So I use the people I know and I trust.
What went into that decision? Because I know I'm a big fan of hiring social media in-house because I think no one's going to know it like someone within the company. Was that just a no-brainer to you, or are you just, how do you think of social media?
Well, the decision was, we had little or no social media. We have the Facebook page, we have the Instagram page and all the other things, but those are the things I don't want to do. I don't have the time to do it. That book, Who, Not How, which means, who do you pick? You don't need to know how to do it. Just get somebody to do it for you, and they do it well. This lady, I interviewed her, and she loves to do this stuff. She loves marketing. She loves all that stuff. She had worked for an auto dealer, one of the bigger ones here in Massachusetts. And she had done a lot with realtors, but she had done so many with realtors in the same office that it was kind of like a conflict of interest. So she went on her own by choice. She went out and did some service people and some other stuff, and she fit the mold. So now she's basically, if I have 2 inspections a month from her, it pays for her. All she has to do is bring in 2 more. Everything to me is measured in inspections.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it going to cost me for my bookkeeper? Oh, that's 3 inspections. How much for my social media person? 2 inspections. So that's how it works. But she was, I checked out her webpage, obviously. She's been doing it for a while. She has 11 clients. She does it from home. She loves the fact that I want to be involved. A lot of people will just hand her the stuff, say, here, take care of it. I don't want to do anything. So every Wednesday when I talk to my growth person, she's included in my my Zoom call. And we brainstorm and we talk about what's going on and, make another person feel like they're part of the company.
Exactly. I love it. And you guys have do you guys have like a shared folder where you put content from inspections in or something like that?
We throw pictures in there. A lot of my guys will just send her direct pictures of the home, pictures of the systems. The other day we had a picture of just the ceiling. The ceiling was from 1964, but the craftsmanship that went into the ceiling was amazing, and they don't do that anymore. So just things of interest.
So you mentioned, so I'm thinking in terms of like growth now, because you're saying 20 to 25 or what the market will bear. I think I want to circle back to that because I think people come back from IEB. I'm like, oh, 50 inspectors. Well, it's like, well, you live in Hayes, Kansas or Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah.
Right.
So tell me your mindset around that. Cause I think people can grow themselves into a bad place. And that's what I worry sometimes about people hiring and overshooting, especially at this point in the market where we don't know what a rise in rates would look like over the next year or 2.
Correct. Yeah. Well, that's my long-term vision. I'm looking at probably 2 to 3 inspectors a year maximum. The thing that happened with us as a company was, as I got more people, I was able to get more people to ride along with. In the beginning, it was just me and my first guy, and then we had to each take a guy. We actually did 3 that year. I took 2 guys, he took 1. So that was tough because you had to make room for these guys and the inspections were crowded, and the agents understood because, they have to do the same thing. They need to learn, they need to train. So too much growth can be a problem as well. Growth is good if the market is there. I mean, if we don't have enough sales, like people are waiving inspections in Massachusetts, which is outrageous. I can't believe it, but it's the whole nation. That's how it is. But my growth thing is probably 2 guys a year, or 2 people a year. I shouldn't say guys. I'll take a lady any day. And maintaining that marketing push as well. So my service people have to match the marketing, or
Got
growth,
it.
call it.
Got it. How are you handling the waiving of the inspections? Are you doing anything different? I know certain markets or certain inspectors are doing the walk and talks. Like, how are you responding to that?
We're not doing the walk and talks. We haven't changed a bit. We only do full inspections.
Mhm.
Liability is too great. The walk and talk, my feeling is if you do that, they're going to expect it all the time. So now you're going to give us a lesser quality report, for one. Liability is there as well. They can say he said, she said. I'm not into that. We give you the full report. We'll do the pest inspection, do all the other stuff. If you want to go the other way, you're taking a big risk, and we'll tell them that. We have had people ask us, do you do the walk and talk? They call it a pre-inspection, which they want us to go actually to the showings. They want us to drive around with them and look at these houses. Yeah, this one looks pretty good. I have no interest in that. If my guys are going to be there for 2 hours or an hour or whatever, they're going to spend all this time with these people. It's going to be for a real inspection.
You gotta get paid for it. It's time. Time is time. So to me, if they spend 2 hours sitting there talking to you or looking at houses, okay, it's got to be charged at a similar rate that a full
Right.
inspection is, and people aren't going to want that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, some people are brainstorming and thinking of like, okay, if you do a walk and talk, then it should be paired with a after you move in inspection or something like that. But then you're going twice, and then does the dollars per hour still end up where you would be at if you just did a full inspection in the beginning?
Yeah, that's my thought. I mean, if my guys have the opportunity to do a full inspection or walk and talk, that's not what we're looking for. We want the full inspection. So what I also have, right, is because my guys are contractors, they can go out and make money in their regular contracting business. So they don't need to do that walk and talk. They're not forced to take that $100 inspection. I would rather pass it up and give them the opportunity to go put in 8 windows, or a change in electrical service, or do something where they can make money. We don't mind letting those things go. Anybody that wants to do those, that's fine. But that's, the firefighters, they have benefits, they have the job. They're not going to do the walk and talk. I probably have 2 guys that really need the regular pay, and they would get the full inspections anyway. So
That's great. That's great. You haven't had to. I always worry when a potentially temporary market force causes people to have knee-jerk reactions. And so it's cool to hear that you're sticking with the program, sticking with the game plan, and going from there. So yeah, what else do you see ahead in the, because at the last IEB conference, obviously there was talks about the future of the industry, what it looks like. What do you see changing in the next couple years? It could be economically or in our industry. Anything on the horizon or in top of mind for you?
In my area, as far as Massachusetts and the New England, I'm hoping that the market changes a little bit, where people aren't waiving inspections and just going crazy. They're bringing all the equity they have from their last house and putting into the next one without inspection, which is just the craziest time here. But I think for us, things that are going to change would be probably just this, maybe the services, increasing our services in the market in general. It's tough to tell because
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's all bank dependent. It's all inventory dependent. Up here, we'll drive about an hour from the office to our inspections, and it's pretty full of inspectors, but they're all older, which is good for me because I bring younger guys, and they'll have a career for the next 20 years if they want to. But I can see less and less people in Mass doing the home inspections because it's so hard to become one.
Yeah. especially with your state having the apprenticeship and the 100 inspections or whatever, states like that, we're going to see a flood of guys retiring in the next 10, 5 years. Maybe that'll coincide with less volume if interest rates go up. We'll see. But yeah, I'm always fascinated in kind of the demographics of our industry, because there's a lot of guys getting in too. So it's like I see the numbers from the schools and everything. We know half of them won't last over a year.
Yeah.
But there's so many guys that, like you said, that are in their 60s and 70s and just kind of doing a couple a week or month.
Yep.
Those inspections got to go somewhere once they hang it up.
Yeah. My goal is to just keep, just spread. I tell my guys, when you have an agent in front of you, you have their undivided attention for 2 hours. That is the time to market yourself. That's the time to market us. That's the time to make a good first impression. Try calling an agent and say, hey, could I sit down for 2 hours and have a talk with you? They're going to laugh and then hang up. They have no interest. They don't have any time. They have no interest in another inspector. So I tell them to tell their agents, I say, listen, I don't want to be your number one, but use me once and I'll be in the rotation and I'll work my way to number one. And that's what they do, because they have their favorites as well.
Yeah, I love that mentality of not taking that time for granted. I think it happens a lot with everyone being busy now and everyone's just cranking. I think taking the eye off the ball, there's got to be some lip service given towards that, of saying, remember, there's still a great source of business and they're still in front of you. You're still marketing yourself to them every day.
Right.
Or every
It's
inspection.
really successful that way, because my guys have, they're not they're not marketers. They're HVAC guys. They're electricians. They don't like to talk about themselves, and I don't blame them, because they're kind of like extroverted introverts. You can have them there, and once they start to talk, that's when the door opens up. So watch out. But they do really well. I'm pretty happy with how they're marketing themselves. I try to give them the tools that they need. The business cards, all the software, everything they need to succeed.
They only need to be 10% marketer in them. That's what I tell home inspectors. You only need to be 10%. You don't want to be 100% marketer, because then they may not like you, or you'd be full of shit or whatever. You just gotta put it out there a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned services. Are you guys expanding into like termite, pest, or do you already do that?
We do pest inspections. We'll look for rodents, we'll look for termites and other things. We do a lot of VA stuff. Give discounts to the vets, free pest inspection for that financial form that they need. I would love to start just installing smoke detectors as a side job. That's another thing. I was really excited when I saw that video that Michael came out with that said, what's better than free? And I watched the whole thing and I said, wow, that was awesome. It really was. I was so excited. I shared it with my guys, because all those things that you guys are working on are things that I was trying to do myself in the background. And basically it's becoming an affiliate marketer. And you have people that you trust and people that you want to work with. And I saw that. I said, that is better than free. That is definitely better than free.
It's exciting, isn't it? Thinking of that trusted network being connected to the homeowner. They get a great service provider. They feel great about you. It just works. And so that's cool to hear you're excited about it. So you would.
Sometimes, when I see stuff, I walk up to my wife and I just go, wow. And she says, what now? I said, you got to see this video. Spectora just put out this video. Or you got to see this, or you got to see that. And it was, that was a big one. And again, I showed it to one of my guys who's really interested in the background stuff that goes on in the company. And he said, that's unbelievable. I said, yeah, that's exactly what we want to have. We want to have our team of people that works with us as well. Like, so, the insurance people. I asked the realtor one day when I was talking about affiliate marketing, I said, what's the one thing that you wish that was out there? What's one of the hard things for you to get as a realtor during the whole process? And she goes, insurance quotes, pest stuff, chimney sweeping, other things like that. And the fact that we have the potential to add contractors in this whole thing, those are our referrals, because people ask us all the time, do you have anyone that does chimney sweeps? Do you have anyone that does electrical? I don't, because I don't have a list. I never see the end result. We find the problem, but we don't see it fixed, so we don't get to refer. So I always recommend the agent, because they have their list of favorites, and if they don't do well, the agent fires them. You won't get a bad contractor from an agent. You just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. How
That's
do you
their
see,
reputation.
yeah, how do you see that playing with, because I know some agents prefer to be that person. Like, this is obviously one of the things we're thinking through of, okay, how do we give you all tools to say, okay, with this agent, we're not going to, we don't want to recommend the chimney sweep guy because she's got one already.
Yeah.
Or do you think they
Um,
would be understanding of it, of saying like, okay, yeah, use Chuck's or use mine, doesn't matter.
I think the agent doesn't really care who does it, as long as it gets done.
And it's
If we
quality.
could take one thing off of their plate, one less thing that they're responsible for, that's great. That's exactly what they want. They just don't want to. They want everything to run smoothly. Up here, we have a lot of our agents call them teams. So they have their finance guy, their lawyer, their home inspector, and they work with these people all the time, and they know this guy's going to get it done, this guy's going to get it done, that guy gets it done, and everything goes smoothly. It's when they don't have someone they're familiar with, that's when things hit the fan.
Yeah.
That's when it gets bad.
Yeah.
So
no, that's the vision we have of this being a seamless experience for your buyers, and something you can go to agents and buyers and say like, hey, this is what you're going to get when you work with us. Because your trust is, like, I think the most important currency in our industry is the trust you have, and to convey that, and then to even benefit on the trust side or on the monetary side. I think it just makes sense. It just should happen.
yeah, the agents that I've had for almost 10 years, and the new ones, they continue to use us, and they just trust us. They know we're going to do our best. We tell them that we look at the house like we're buying it for ourselves. And the clients love it, and we do.
Would you ever entertain having the pest spraying service, or standing up a business that does the recurring spraying every quarter?
The problem with that for us is that is a conflict of interest, because we can't go back to a house for a full year. Even if we can do the service, we can't do it in Massachusetts. But that's, I think that's a gray area. If I set up a separate company for pest spraying,
Right.
It's still, affiliated with Striler Home Inspections.
Still a conflict, yeah, still, which makes sense. And that's the beauty of this new model with being able to enter in these companies, is that you can partner with some of the best ones in the area, and
Right.
then we can figure out what's, you can figure out then what's a fair, amount for that relationship. So I think that could fill the gap really nicely.
Yeah, I told you I was excited when I saw it, because it makes, we shine now. No one else is going to offer that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be game
Nobody.
over in your area for sure.
It's a game changer for sure.
Well, we'll get you on the beta. We'll talk more about that offline afterwards.
I love my beta testing.
What's
I
that?
I said I love my beta testing. It's I've been a beta tester for a while, and I was a little nervous about the last one because I have so many guys, and I didn't want to just throw it at them. So I kind of opted out of it. I wish I had got into it, but I'm like, oh God,
It's scary.
everything's going so fast and so smooth right now. I said, oh, please don't throw in it. It's just, it was me. It wasn't you guys. It was me. So
Hey, this winter, I think everyone's hoping for a little bit of a slowdown. We'll see if it even happens. I think we've been saying that for how many winters now, where we think it's going to slow down and it doesn't.
we slowed down probably, with my spectrometrics. I only slow down in December.
December's it, yeah.
Love those graphs. Like, wow, this is awesome.
Is that how you run the biz? Just jumping in there, looking at the metrics, and
I look at the metrics to see a lot of things. Who's my big inspectors? Where are we getting our business? What was last year over the year before? In the COVID year, it was crazy year. The numbers were off the charts.
comps. Yeah, comps are going to be screwed now.
Yeah, where I can't go. I have to throw that year out.
Yeah.
I can only go by the last two.
Yep.
But I do use the metrics a lot because it does show me a lot of good things. Who's my number one agents? Who's my all-time agent? Who's my this week agents? Who does all the multifamilies? Who does this? Who's booking all the inspections? My daughter. So I got to get more people to book online. So my social media person, I said, let's push the booking online. So this is all tools that I can use to drive the business where I want it, and get it running smoother. That's my whole thing is, I want to be hands off. I want it just to roll and just tweak it a little bit here and there.
Let's dig into that mentality. This is one of the last questions I want to ask you, is that mentality that you just said does not come natural for the technician mindset in our industry. I think a lot of inspectors need to feel hands-on and need to be busy, do the manual work 50 hours a week. Whereas you sound like you want like lean, scalable business, right? So where does that come from?
That comes from almost being burnt out to the point where, after what I say, maybe 5 or 6 years of working till 11 o'clock, going to bed, not seeing my wife, not seeing my kids, just being burnt out. And I said, there's got to be a better way. My kids they're not kids, they were 18, 19, 20 years old. But when you burn yourself out, you look for easy ways to do stuff. Give a man a hard job, he'll find an easy way to do it. So that IEB, again, we'll go back to that. They tell you that you can't work in your business and on it at the same time. You can't be a home inspector for 2 inspections a day and then come home and write your reports and then make your phone calls and do your insurance stuff and do your legal stuff and do all the other stuff. So the hardest thing that I ever did, and this was when it all changed, was I missed one payroll with me, my daughter, and my other guy. I missed one day. I didn't miss the payroll. I just missed it. And she said, I'm doing the payroll from now on. And I said, what? You want me to let go of something? And I just handed it to her. Like, oh God. But once you let go, right, you got to have some faith. You got to trust your guys. You got to trust the people that you have. Once I let that go, then I started to let more stuff go. And that's where you have to have that one thing. That one thing that turns a switch on, says, okay, I don't have to do everything. I can trust other people to do other things. And that's why it's important that you get good people. But that was my deciding moment when I gave her the payroll to do, because that's number one, it's money. You want to, I need to see how much money I have. But she did the payroll and it's run smoothly ever since. That was like 4 years ago. And then, it's getting people in the right places and giving them the tools to succeed. And just keeping an eye, I have another guy, I have a friend who's got 4 businesses. He's got 200 rental units. He owns a hardware store. He owns a plumbing supply place. I said, how do you keep it going? He says, I just keep an eye on it. It starts to turn a little bit. I get over there, I push it back, keep an eye on it. And he's really hands off, but he has the right people in the right job. And you have to learn to let go. Some of the guys in my IEB pod, we have a pod where we call every Wednesday night, 4 of us. They haven't let go yet. And every week I give them the shit and I tell them, I said, you have to give up 4 hours a week, just one morning to work on your business. And like, oh, that's a whole inspection. I go, for now it's an inspection, but if you get another guy in there or 2 other guys doing those inspections, that doesn't hurt. You're missing the whole point. You're in IEB to grow. If you just want to be a technician, then you're spending your money for nothing. You're just wasting your money every month. All the plan, just do the steps. They're proven methods of success.
Yeah. In other businesses too. This is not just inspection specific. This is any business that needs to scale and grow. You got to get out of the way. Yeah.
Again, though, you just got to let go. That's our problem. Like you said, technicians, I'm technically just a technician. I call myself just a shirt guy. I just get shirts made. It says Striler HI on them. Just a shirt guy.
Just the shirt guy.
You got to let go. You literally have to let go and trust. Trust the people you chose. If they don't want to, get somebody else. Trust the people. You guys have grown tremendously in the 3 years. I mean, I used to talk to Casey and then Alexis, and like I can't find them anymore. They're up here in the corporate ladder. They still talk back and forth, but no, you've grown a lot, and you just have to trust. Get that training program in place, and trust.
Exactly. And to your friend's point, keep an eye on it. Correct when necessary, but yeah, why are we in this if we're not growing other people, trusting other people, and then letting go? I think that's there's joy in that. That's what I've been surprised at, is seeing someone else step into that accountability and take it and run. And you're like, oh, I should have done this sooner. Like
I
they're
agree.
thriving.
Yeah. And when you do that, they feel important. You're not micromanaging. They feel like he trusts me. I'm going to do a good job for him. It's great. It's great. It's just being a good person and trusting somebody.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Chuck, thanks, man. This has been awesome. You've dropped some nuggets of wisdom here.
I don't know if I dropped nuggets, but
What
I'm
anything else
happy to
on your
do it.
mind? Anything else top of mind or important, or what did we not talk about that you wish we talked about?
My extra large Spectora t-shirt.
Still on the way, right? We still got it. We're actually
It's on its way.
Yep.
No, what haven't we talked about? Maybe I wish I had been in the beta so I could see some of the upcoming stuff. I love to be in the background seeing some of the stuff. I know a lot of the things I've suggested have been brought up, so that's good. And that's what I like about you guys, is that we have some input. You're not just throwing a product at us that, what do I need that feature for? What do I need that for? You're bringing value as well, same as we are. That's the whole goal. But
no, hey, it's from feedback from people like you. Honestly, I think we rely on that. It's our lifeblood, and that's how we keep evolving it. And it's gonna get even better, I think, with all the new developers we just hired. So I'm excited.
I also saw that, and I was excited again. Went to my wife. Look at this email. She's like, "You need to calm down." No, it's fun. That's the whole thing about it. It's just make it fun. Everyone asks me, when are you going to retire? I said, what do I want to retire for? I'm not really, I work 6 times a week, 6 inspections, and I only do it to train people. If I didn't want to, I wouldn't have to do the 6, but I like to train the people. You bring in new people with no bad habits. You get to train them the way you want. You train them on the software. Why retire?
You seem like you're having fun.
I am having fun. I was in New Hampshire a couple weeks ago. No one even knew it. I was on my iPad running the company. We go down to Florida for a couple of weeks. No one knows until I post that picture by the lanai in the pool. And it's the right people in the right places.
You're doing it
with the right tools. Yeah, living the dream.
You're living it and walking it out. And I especially want to commend just the zest and kind of the personality and energy you bring whenever you talk to any of our people. And anytime we interact, you always have something like pithy or, something to say.
We call that Wisecracks up here in New England.
Wisecrack. He's a wise guy.
A wise guy for sure.
Oh.
It's sometimes I'll just be going along and I think of something and I'll send, I'll send the girls a message. Hey, I was thinking of this. Boom. And that's a great idea. I'll bring it up at the next meeting. Like the time clock.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you're one of the faves, that you bring up stuff in a light way and it gets taken more serious as a result of that, as opposed to the ones that want to kick the door down and say, like, you guys are idiots for not thinking of this. It's like, well, we've thought of that. We just can't do a million things at once.
Right. When I read some of the stuff on the Facebook page and the other stuff, I just say, that's not helping. That kind of negative energy is not going to get you anywhere.
Not with us.
Do you want to be the only one at your wake? You need to be a nicer person. It's the kind of way I feel.
Yeah, exactly. That's very succinct, and I appreciate that.
I try and there's no reason to beat up. I just suggest stuff. And if it gets taken as an idea, again, just extra large Spectora, it's men's size, men's shirt.
I'm actually going to write that down because we are ordering a batch, and so you'll definitely get yours for all the input over the years.
Well, if you do, I'll be surprised and pleasantly surprised. I only do it at some. I would rather you owe me than to actually give it to me.
Fair point. Fair point.
Hey, where's my shirt?
Right on. All right, Chuck, got to run. Thanks, man. This is great. We appreciate you.
Nice talking to you. We'll do it again.
Right on.
All right.
Right. Take care. See ya.
Thanks.